Well, now that we're finished up with our proposed line work, I think next we will get started on right-of-way, which, as far as the order goes, we didn't necessarily have to do these in any particular order. I could have done the right-of-way before I started doing the line work, but that's just the order I chose, so let's think about that for a minute. So, okay, maybe I'll turn on the aerial view here for a second. Okay, so we had mentioned earlier in a previous video that along this curve that we're going to have to lay back this slope here. And when we do that, we want to make sure that we are not we're not going beyond the right-of-way. On this particular project, we can't purchase any right-of-way. And so we want to make sure that we're well within the limits. So in order to get those right-of-way lines, we could go about that in different ways. Let's look at maybe a couple options. Let's see. In some cases, I may be able to obtain the GIS parcel lines, and that may look like this, something like this. I'm going to turn on I've got a few reference files here. I just wanted to show you. I'll turn that on. And let's see, this line only has a few of the property lines. I didn't pull in the existing right-of-way for here, but you can see that in some cases, the district may have, some of that data. You can always contact the county, and they can send you out shape files of the parcels within your project. But I would say most commonly, and this varies district to district, but these videos are mostly being made for District 6. So at District 6, they do have a plats and plans person that would provide you that information. So if you gave them the location of your project and told them that you need the right-of-way plotted, then they would do that for you. And as a matter of fact, let's see, let me turn off the aerial for a sec here. And I'm going to go over to my levels, and let me turn off that line work for a second. And I'm going to show you that I'm actually sitting in the plats and plans person's file. In fact, in ProjectWise, as you know, each section works within their own section name here within ProjectWise. So under CAD data, just like you as a designer are working under the design folder, the Land Act people are going to initially create their file or do all of their CAD work in their Land Act folder. And so we may or may not be able to use that exactly, the way that they provided it to us. It really just depends. One big thing with ORD now, which is really different and really probably unusual to the plats and plans people or anybody in Land Act, is to think that in ORD we actually need to profile the right-of-way lines, which is really unusual for them. And so they don't generally do that for us, or even necessarily complex all the lines together or apply feature definitions or anything like that. You may be able to work with them and ask if they could do that for you, but more times than not, that's they're probably just going to provide you something that looks about like this, without the alignment, but something that looks like this here. And I'll turn the aerial back on for 1 second, and you can see what that looks like. And they would have obtained this information from, various resources, past projects, or they go to the county and obtain some information. They have a variety of ways that they may obtain that information for you. And then when it comes, if it looks like that you are going to be purchasing right away, you're going to be really close to it, then at that time there may need to be a land survey, actually. But usually initially when you're first getting started on a project, some of these right-of-way lines are just drawn by station offset, which is fine for most cases. So, okay. So what do you need now that you've put in that request, you've received this right-of-way, what do you need to do? Well, we don't really have permissions to the Land Act folder, so instead we are going to be working in our design folder, and we start off by creating a design file for ourselves, and then we just pull in this right-of-way information. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go to File, New. And we want this file to be created in the design folder, as we said. So let me point there. And then I'm just going to change the name of the seed file to our contract number. Dash right-of-way. And we'll call it Designer version of right-of-way. Okay, say okay. So that file is now created for us. It should be sitting in ProjectWise in our design folder. So let's go ahead and open up that file. And then next we will reference in the Land Act version of the right-of-way file. So again, just tools attach. I'm going to point to the Land Act folder. There's their file. And we say OK. And if I do a fit view, I should see the right-of-way lines. Very nice. Okay, so from here, I can just copy that right-of-way into this design file. So let's go ahead and do that. We can copy a portion of it. We could merge it into master. I think I'll just do that here in this case. And actually for this job, you can see that's the right-of-way for the entire project. For this video example, we're only going to be working in this area, so I think I'll just delete out some of that extra right-of-way. Okay, so here's the right-of-way we're going to be working with. Let's see, I see some extra lines showing up there. We may have to maybe even drop the status. So you can see there might be, a little bit of cleanup work here that you may need to do, depending on how these elements were drawn. I'm just going to drop the status of that, and then that should allow me to, let's see, yeah, there we go. I just deleted that line. And now these lines don't have any feature definitions. Really, they just have the attributes of level, weight, and color. But I do want to featureize these elements. So let's see. Oh, I guess he had an approximate section line. I think I'm just going to turn that level off for now and just work with the existing right-of-way lines. So to featureize these lines, we can just select them all at the same time, and then I could go up to my feature definitions, select right-of-way, and let's see if we can find it here. Oh, that's roadway. right-of-way. There should be one just for right-of-way, existing right-of-way line. There it is. And then, because the lines are already drawn, what we're doing is really just taking and applying a feature definition to those lines. So if I go to geometry, then under standards, we've got a set feature definition. And let's see. Oh, I guess this one does not have active feature definition, so I may have to actually point to it there. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so set feature definition. Let's see, is it located here? I guess it's a linear type item, and we'll just go right of way, existing right of way line, data point. And so now the lines, they're still not complex or anything, but if I was to look at, like, say, an element info, I can see that the line is now featurized. The line actually has assigned a name to it and a feature definition. Okay. And, you know, depending on really when this work was done for you, that the Plats and Plans section may have already featurized the lines. It really just depends kind of on the timing as everybody starts to move to ORD. I think you'll probably see it more often that the lines will already be featurized, but for now you're probably gonna have to do that yourself. Okay, the next step is that we don't want to have each one of these lines just individual lines. We would like them to be complexed. So that's easy enough. We just go up to complex geometry, and then we can work either in the manual mode or the automatic mode. And it's important that you look at the arrow there just on, you know, direction, because this line is going to be stored as a chain in whatever direction that arrow is. And in this case, I had automatic on. It picked up all of the lines, data point to accept. If it wouldn't have picked up all the lines, I may have had to have switched to manual. And I'll show you that here in a minute. But now notice when I select that line, it's actually a one, and you know, it's really acts as one. It's complex. It's a chain. And we need to do that for the remainder of our lines here. So we'll do a few. In fact, let's say automatic wasn't working and we wanted to be in that manual mode. I want to show you this when you're complexing something, that again, you click on that first element, usually on the opposite side of the direction that you're going. Otherwise, the arrow, see how it flips around? And so we want to get it going all in the same direction. And then when we hover over the next line, again, we want to keep that line being stored in the same direction. So we want to move around our mouse as much as we need to just to make sure that arrow is pointed in the right direction. There we go. There we go. And there. And we get the same result there. Okay. So let me hit pause so you don't have to watch me do every one of them. Okay, so now that the lines are complexed, the next thing that I'm going to do is profile these lines. Now, in order to do that, you need to first reference in your existing terrain. So we're going to go to Tools, Attach, and that may be located in your Design folder or your Surveys folder. Just depends. Let's see. I think we use this one. Let's check. Yeah, there we go. And so we're going to see the boundary of our existing terrain. And so we want to make that terrain the active terrain. And we just, here we go, we just, in our element selection, we want these first two buttons pushed. We hover over like this, and then we just click active terrain. Okay, so now that that's the active terrain, we should be able to click on any of these elements, and as long as they're within the border of the terrain, we can profile those elements. So let's do that. We're going to bring up a profile view. So you can do that by either hovering over the terrain, or hovering over the right-of-way, and then clicking on this profile icon. And then you just choose any view that you like, data point inside of that view. And when you do a fit view, you should see the right-of-way line. Let's see. I must not have made that active. Okay, I had to go back and click the active terrain button again. I guess I must have missed it. So, okay. So since the terrain is active, and then I clicked on that profile view, hit the profile icon, then when I do a fit view here in the profile window, it brings up all of the profile, at least, is like I said, as long as the lines are within the terrain, it will show the profile. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to make that profile the active profile. And I'll tell you in a minute why we're doing this, because it is a little different. Okay, active profile. So now that it's the active profile, if I was to bring up my 3D model, and I can do that by just right-clicking and go to View Control, Plan 3D, Release, and I'm going to do a fit view, and so I've got the default view here, and then I've got the 3D view, the 3D model, right next to it. And as a matter of fact, we can just make that the active view. I'm going to snap to anything here just to show you that we do have that right-of-way line, and that right-of-way is setting right on the existing terrain, which is what we want. And I'm sure that seems a little strange, but the reason for that is because later, when we cut cross sections, we're going to need not only this line to be featurized, complexed, but also profiled. And the reason is that a right-of-way cell is placed, and the way that it knows where to place that cell, which, it's getting the XY coordinates by the plan view, but then it's it's getting the X value, the Z value from the terrain, because it's profiled. Okay. So when we talk about that right-of-way cell, I just brought up the cross-section sheets just to, instead of just talking about, to show you what I'm talking about here anyway. So, ultimately we're working towards generating the model and generating cross-sections from that model. Well, that model, or these cross-section sheets are annotated. And so see this existing right-of-way line here? That's actually a cell. And the way that it knows to place that cell right at that location is because when it sees that existing right-of-way line with the particular feature definition of right-of-way, and it has an X, Y, and Z, now that it's profiled, that's how it knows where to place that annotation, where it knows to place that existing right-of-way. And easements work the same way. There's a different feature definition for easements, but it's the same thing, as well as proposed right-of-way. So let's stop this part 1 here of right-of-way.